Breaking news. The Supreme Court just shut down Biden's attempt to get relief for a bunch of folks, over 40 million Americans looking for relief for direct student loan debt. If you're caught in that crossfire, fret no more, hang tight. At the end of this video, I'm sharing with you a law that's been in place and how it works, and a resource that can help you with that dilemma. So, we don't have to wait for another couple of years for them to figure out what they're going to do, what they want to do. And this law has been in place. The process has been in place for over a decade. So hang tight to the end of this video, and I'll share that resource for you so that you give them a call and they can help you with that information. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our conversation about the potential short-term rental collapse. We're going to go over today some of the issues that is causing this kind of shakeup, and some viable solutions that's going to help you kind of restructure and get back on solid ground. So one of the glaring issues is the oversupply. So let me just put it in perspective. Let's just give you an analogy. Let's say you live in a town of a population of 100 people, and there's no one else for miles and miles and miles and miles. You only have a population of 100 people. Now, you have your grandmother's recipe for the best pizza in the world, and you know it's a hit. Every time people come over to your house, they eat your pizza, they're like, this is the best pizza, this sliced bread, right? So you decide, you come up with a grand idea that you're going to open up 5 different pizza shops in this town of 100 people. Now, it doesn't matter how good this pizza is. There's no way that 5 different operations can survive. It can thrive in a population of 100 people. That is what's happening in some markets in the short-term rental space. You have a set number of people, a set number of demand in a particular market, yet there's an oversupply. There's just 5 different shops of pizza in a place where there's only 100 people living, as an example. All right, so what does that do? That excess rentals with not enough demand leads to trouble, and impacting what it's doing is impacting occupancy, and it's hitting the revenues. There are some markets that the revenue has decreased, the rental income has decreased by up to 50%. That's not sustainable, and that is causing one of the biggest issues. So here's another issue, which was a flawed business model. And so what happens with a flawed business model is that it causes regulatory issues. Let me just kind of unpack that for you. So everybody was pushing, because during the pandemic, a lot of areas saw increased numbers, just outstanding numbers. I know that we did, but not every area was like that, but some areas did, no problem. So now everybody's pushing, get into the Airbnb, get into the short-term rental, use VRBO, all these different platforms, get in. But they did not understand the business model and how that business model works. They just jumped in like it was a gold rush. They're like, we're going to go in there, we're going to make this money. When you don't understand the business model and how it functions, then you treat these rentals as long-term rentals. It's not a long-term rental model. It is a hospitality model. So now here's the ripple effect, a domino effect. So what happens is that you start treating it as a long-term, then the people who are used to this Airbnb or short-term rental model and staying in different short-term rental spaces, they're not getting the services. They're not getting, the services that they're used to. They're not getting the accommodations that they're used to. And then they start complaining, and it starts causing problems. Or you did not provide the amenities, or you did not provide the safeguards in place, so you're getting the wrong type of guests in your unit. What that does, it creates disruption in your community. So now your community's upset at you, and so now your community starts complaining to the regulatory areas, whether it's the legislator, in your community, where have you, they start complaining, hey, close this down, contacting the building department, contacting the mayor, and it becomes just a hot mess, only because you did not understand, only because, and I don't take it personally, for those that didn't, you just didn't have the right business model, okay? And by not having the right business model, by not understanding the business model, by not understanding that this is not long-term rental, this is a hospitality model, and you have to have the right pieces in place so that you can thrive, so that the expectation of your guests can be met, and so that your community is not negatively impacted and thus not causing regulatory issues. So now you have, a reduction in your revenue, all right, because of oversupply. Then on top of that, you have the student loan issue where now come September, October, that, when somebody's knocking at your door, it's time to start paying the piper, right? So your revenue is being impacted, and now you're going to experience some financial stress if you have a student loan, because now you're going to start paying that bill. So I want to encourage you, there are solutions. So the first thing, let's address the student loan, because that's prevalent in a lot of people's minds. And if it's not in your mind, it's in somebody you know's mind. So make sure you share this information with them and share this video out. It may be a long-winded video because it contains information regarding the real estate, and they may not be interested in real estate, but if they have a student loan, they want this information. So there is a law that has been in place for over 10 years, and that addresses student loans. For whatever reason, and whatever reason, I'm not even going to get into the politics of it, but for whatever reason, they're not making, they're not putting it out there, they're not talking about it, but it's there. It's been there for over 10 years. And it's a company that provides the service in helping you resolve that and reduce that amount. So it is there. I want you guys to take a breather, breathe out, relax. There's a solution that's been in place for 10 years. I'm going to share the source in a little bit. All right. So that's one issue. Now, in terms of your short-term rental, the thing that you have to do is that you have to assess the market. A lot of people just, got in thinking that they could just put their units on platforms like Airbnb, VRBO, Booking.com, Expedia, what have you. And that it was these platforms' jobs to put heads in beds. That's not their job. They are a fantastic marketing platform, and yes, you want to utilize it and you want to leverage it, but you need to know how to market your unit. And that starts not by putting it on a platform. That starts with you assessing and understanding what markets you can serve. It starts there. And a lot of people don't have that approach to the short-term rental. You have to know who your market is. I've got a rule, and I live and I'll die by it. When it comes to short-term rental, and when it comes to pretty much any rental property, if I don't have a minimum of 5 different markets that I can market my property to and make a viable income with, I just don't buy the property. That's just me. That's how I do that side of the business. And the reason I do that is because real estate is cyclical. It is a business. We all know in this space that it is cyclical. Therefore, we know that, at any time it could go up, it could go down. And when you have at least 5 different markets that you can market your property to, and you position your property to be able to serve all the 5 different markets, you can pivot. That's it. You can pivot. So you say, okay, right now, this model is not working. Pivot, let me go to this model. That model's not working, pivot, go to, that's why I do it that way. That's why that works. And so that is the approach, so that, you have to go in knowing, making money going in. So you need to know that you're going to make money. And by having, being clear as to those markets and being clear that you can pivot, it allows you to be secure that, okay, no matter what happens, I am going to be okay. I'm going to be able to pivot. You need to know your exit, because sometimes the option may be, okay, right now, this is the best time to sell. But if you don't know your numbers, if you don't know your market, you're going to be stuck, and you're going to feel like you're stuck, and you're not. It's just that you don't know what you don't know. I say that all to say that if you want a free consult with me, 10, 15 minutes, there's a link below and you can schedule time and we could look at your situation and we could have a discussion. And if there's something I could help you with, we could discuss that. But at least, let's discuss your situation. It is not all lost. There are options. Let's discuss it so that you can just pivot. So I want to give you kind of an example of when you do a nice deeper dive onto a market, okay? So let's say that let's say Tesla and Google, and this is not happening, guys, I'm just using this as an example, okay? So let's say Tesla and Google are looking to set up shop in a town in New Jersey, all right? So Tesla is going to set up a big manufacturing, the biggest one in this country, manufacturing of their cars in New Jersey. And let's say Google is setting up a big data centers. They want to obliterate Amazon and want to set up a huge data center over there. So if you know that that's happening, that you know that's coming, then that will be a good place to set up both short-term and long-term rental, right? Now, let's say Tesla and Google, in their relocation to New Jersey, they're relocating from Cleveland, from a town in Cleveland. And so they're closing up shop in Cleveland and taking their bags and taking their models and taking, their business to New Jersey. And there's no one coming to replace Tesla or Google in Cleveland. If you know that ahead of time, then not to set up shop, not whether it was short-term or long-term rental, because there's going to be a big gap that no one is filling. See, when you do those deeper dives, that's what you get. That's part of the data that you get. And that's the kind of data that you need so that you can build a business model that is not only profitable, but it's sustainable. It can weather the storm. It can weather these cycles. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. I hope that this was very informative. Thank you for joining us. I hope that the information was short, concise, to the point, and more important, informative and helpful to you. Hopefully is giving you hope, is giving you understanding as to where the gaps may be in your business model and what you need to do. And again, if you want a free consult with me, there's a link below. Feel free to schedule I think we do a 10 to 15 minute consult, and we'll be more than happy to speak with you and just hear you out and assess where you're at and what things you could do to mitigate where you're at, where your revenue is falling, where your business model needs work, whether it's the hospitality side, where you're not providing services that you were not aware of. So it's just a matter of just having a conversation. And I don't mind having that conversation and helping you out. As importantly, we discussed that I was going to share a resource with you regarding student loans. So I'm excited about it because I like solutions and I like people to just be able to, take control and not wait around for other people to make things happen for them. So congratulations for taking the bull by the horn. And so let's get into this discussion about the student loan. I hope you enjoy the way we deliver it for you. But listen intently, get the information. And again, schedule the consult below. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.
Vecina! Florida! Hola, vecina!
Picky neighbor, you're too much.
Florida, darling, it's time for our coffee break. And I know you're in the middle of your show, but I just heard about the Supreme Court decision on Biden, and it cannot wait. Plus, I thought you'd be done by now. Matthew, Stephen, and Alex, lower that TV. Jesus, I'm on a call. And who knocked over the lamp? Feels like I'm running a zoo here.
Right, listen, you know how to make an entrance, Gloria. Give me 1 second. Let me fill my coffee cup. Y comenzamos con el cafecito, okay?
And hi there, viewers. So aren't you in luck today? Because not only will you be getting real estate advice, but you'll be getting new commentaries on this decision that just came down from the Supreme Court. We'll wait for her to get back.
Okay. I know you've been up to no good, but that's okay. Girl, what's going on? Dímelo, Gloria.
So, Nina, did you hear about President Biden's case in the Supreme Court?
Which one?
The one about the student loan forgiveness.
Gloria, I'm not surprised. What do they say? What do they say?
Well, your cousin Miguel Cardona, the secretary.
My cousin?
Well,
Miguel Cardona is not my cousin. You know what it is, Gloria? Because let me see. Okay, my father's name is Miguel. My brother's name is Miguel. My uncle's name is Miguel. My cousin's name is Miguel. I had an ex-father-in-law named Miguel. Okay, I had an ex-brother-in-law named Miguel. My husband's name is Michael, which is Miguel in Spanish. Listen, he's not my cousin.
But it's a common name in the Dominican Republic, isn't it?
Gloria, tú eres única. Tú eres única.
Well, I'm just saying. Anyway, Miguel Cardona, the Secretary of Education, not your relative, Miguel, gave a big speech.
Good afternoon. In the last 48 hours, our country has been set back in terms of providing equity and access in higher education. And as you heard from the president, today, the Supreme Court ruled against more than 40 million working families. Let's be clear about who would have benefited from the president's student debt relief plan. Nearly 90% of relief would have gone to borrowers making less than $75,000 a year. 20 million Americans would see their debts drop to zero, with 20 million more seeing lower payments. This would mean fewer borrowers falling into delinquency and default when payment pause ended. We're not talking about the millionaires who benefited from the billions in tax giveaways a few years ago. We're talking about low and middle income families recovering from the worst pandemic in a century. I strongly disagree with the court's decision here. So today, I want to assure our students, our borrowers, and families across America, our fight is not over. We're taking action. The president, the vice president, and I have put borrowers first from day one. We refuse to go back to the way things were before the pandemic, when 1 million borrowers defaulted each year and faced devastating financial consequences. So let me tell you about the actions we're taking today. Number one, we're going to open up an alternative path to debt relief for as many borrowers as possible, as quickly as possible. But we acknowledge the court's decision. We began the negotiated rulemaking process on settlement and compromise authority today. More information on the new regulations will come out shortly. Number two, today, we are rolling out the most affordable income-driven repayment plan ever. This new plan is called Saving on a Valuable Education, SAVE. It'll cut monthly payments in half for all undergraduate loans. It'll cut payments to $0 for millions of people making less than $33,000 a year. All other borrowers will save at least $1,000 per year. This plan will stop runaway interest, and it's not going to require you to pay more than you can afford. And number three, as the president mentioned, we're creating an on-ramp for repayment for up to 1 year for those who need it. This means, although interest will accrue starting September 1st and payments are due starting in October, we'll help borrowers who are struggling to make payments avoid harsh financial consequences such as delinquencies and wage garnishments. Borrowers who can't make payments should. Again, I disagree with today's decision from the Supreme Court.
Yes, but Gloria, these tricksters are gaslighting us again. You know the saying, te conozco, bacalao, aunque vengas disfrazado.
Eiffel, they think we can't smell their BS because they're wearing a suit and they work for the president. So una barza de come.
Yeah, baby, this is PG-13, Gloria, PG-13, okay? Gloria, listen. Let me this cup down. Look, there's been a program, a student loan forgiveness program for over 12 years. It's based on discretionary income, and people should have applied for it during the pandemic because a lot of people were underemployed and their incomes were being impacted. But this program has been around for some time. They're going to still apply to today.
Really? I didn't know that, Nina.
Claro que sí. Listen, Gloria, not all that is glitter, or in this case, not every Miguel is my relative. You know what I mean?
So, Florida, where can I actually get information about this loan forgiveness program? Because I'd like to know.
Listen, this program has been around, I think it's around 2010, Obama put it in place. Okay, and I'm not an expert in it, but I'm going to give you the experts. But let me just give you how it works. Okay, the way it works is that they're going to take about up to 15% to zero of your discretionary income, not your earned income, discretionary income. Okay, and then they're going to put and then you apply. All right, you apply for this every single year. So if you're a government employee, as an example, you can apply every year up to 10 years. Everybody else who's not a government like service employee have 20 years. So every year you apply. After that time period, whether it's 10 years or 20 years, depending on your job, okay, whatever balance is still outstanding is completely canceled. It's completely forgiven.
Espérate, porque así tú no lo dices, no lo han inventado. Dime más.
Yes, Gloria. So people can call this nonprofit organization. Their name is Credit and Debt Management Institute. They call the office. Their phone number, I believe, is 888-551-5533. And they call the office and they ask about the student loan debt filtration program. These people have been doing this for years and helping people that have federal loans get their loans resolved for many years. They're experts in it, and that's what they need to call. So I'm going to put the link below. And so when they scroll down at the end of my video, they'll be able to see their website and their phone number. That's what they need to call.
Okay.
All right. So listen, having coffee has been great with you. I think we need to call it a night. It's been a long night. And you popping in. As much as I appreciate you doing that, like, can I handle my business? Stop popping in the middle of my live sessions. Can you do that for me?
Absolutely.
All right.
And Les, Florida, listen, I will have to be getting along too because I have to get these kids ready to drop them off at the zoo tomorrow.
Oh, they have a school trip tomorrow?
No, I meant they have to go to school. What's the difference anyway? The kids don't know how to act. All right, so.
Ok, mi amor, cuídate, nos vemos.
Bye, amor.